Well, hey there everybody, Aaron here. Welcome to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. Today I have another Tops knife for us to take a look at. This is the revised version of the original Tops Knives Overlander. We're looking at today in the Blade Boot Camp, the Overlander 2. They've done some tweaking and modifications a little bit to the design of the Overlander. And the Overlander 2, what we have here before us, is kind of with the idea of kind of being like a Pioneer EDC. You know, something that a Pioneer or a Woodsman would carry on them all the time. It's supposed to be small, compact, but very tough and robust. And we're going to really talk about that today, both the pros and cons of having a really, robust small knife. There are a lot of pros, but there are also some cons as well. And we're going to talk about that today and really put this thing through the ringer. I've had a chance to really get out here multiple times, use this thing in a lot of, if you will, wilderness EDC tasks. So today we're going to see how the Overlander 2 performs. All right, guys, I want to give you some basic specs here on this knife. What we have is a total weight with the sheath of 8.8 ounces. And then when we remove the sheath and we go to just the knife itself, we are looking at a solid 6.8 ounces. So nice and lightweight, not bulky or overly hefty and heavy. And what you're looking at is a total length from back to front of 8¼ inches. You're looking at 3/16 of an inch thick spine, saber grind. You're going to be looking at from the handle to the tip a 4-inch blade and then an actual cutting edge of 3.5 inches. And those are some of the basic specs, micarta handle scales and a black coating to boot. So guys, those are just a few of the basic specs here on this Tops Overlander 2. How do you like that knife?
I like it a lot. It's really smooth.
All right, let's take this piece of wood and we're going to make a square notch with it and see how this knife performs. Very happy with that square notch. Very easy to do, zero hot spots with the Overlander 2. Very happy with that performance, awesome. All right guys, just want to give you the sheath rating here on this knife. Obviously 5 out of 5, Kydex, taco design, like any of Tops sheaths, Kydex sheaths, they're always fantastic. I got a really nice little thumb ramp right there, boom, pulled the knife out, good to go. And it has that belt clip that is 360 degrees rotatable, works fantastic, but nice and snug enough to be able to put it where you want to. So a great Kydex sheath, 5 out of 5. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed a lot of that footage. I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun for me taking this knife out and actually using it. It was a blast. And as you have seen from all the performance, not only is this blade extremely tough and durable and reliable, this tip is insane. I was able to do such huge amounts of stabbing. I think this would be a great tactical knife because of the 3/16 and the saber grind. It's going to be a great little mini tactical blade if that's what you're looking for. You can pry, really get good penetration. The guard works really well with that. With the modified grind now that I have done on the blade, removing the secondary bevel, so now it's basically a modified Scandi or a modified saber, whatever people want to say or whatever people want to call it. Just kind of show you there. Have totally removed the secondary bevel, so now it is just edged straight up to the flat portion there. I mean, this thing, for being 3/16 of an inch thick, I was actually not expecting a lot, but it absolutely performed basically just like my Tops Bob, just in a smaller package. I mean, it's literally exactly how the edge performed, and I got to tell you that it did great with all of the harder tasks, batoning, the side splitting. I mean, everything that I put this thing through, I mean, it just keeps coming back for more because of how robust it is and how durable the knife is. The feather stick making, the rope cutting. I mean, everything about this knife really surprised me in its capabilities. Again, because 3/16 saber grind with this small a blade is usually not my preference. I really wasn't, again, expecting a lot, but man, did it surprise me, and I just was very pleased. Regardless if you are using this as an EDC blade around the ranch, the home, the property, or you're using this as your companion blade with either larger hatchets, axes, or larger wilderness blades. I mean, I think it's a great, if you're looking for a knife that's very robust, but can still do some of those finer tasks, I mean, I think it did a great job. Really, the only place that I didn't see a lot of, shine was in the food prep area. It didn't necessarily do a great job. A thinner blade with a full flat grind is just going to perform better when it comes to food prep. But every other area, and it did amazingly well. And this saber grind and the way the blade is set up would be a good game processor. It's just when it comes more to like vegetables and fruit and doing camp food prep tasks that don't involve meat, the blade just really isn't set up for that very well, guys. So other than that, though, the performance was great, and I was very happy, very pleased. All right, guys, real fast, I'm going to give you the quality rating on the Overlander 2. Just like all Tops products, I have yet to own a Tops product that was a low quality. It's a 5 out of 5 immediately. The fit and finish is fantastic. The lineup on the handle scales, the Kydex sheath you get, the edge retention and 1095 quality, the heat treat and everything they do is fantastic. So as always, I'll let you know if I ever find a quality level that's not 5 out of 5 from Tops. But with this Overlander 2, quality rating 5 out of 5. Okay, guys, I want to kind of do a real fast 2-for-1 here for us. Not only giving us the value rating on the Overlander 2, but also showing you it up next to the Bob. Just going to give you some size perspective, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, to my knowledge, the Overlander, when I'm filming this, Overlander 2 is not yet on the normal websites that you would purchase this, Amazon, Knife Works, Knife Center. None of those places have it yet. So I'm going purely off of MSRP, and the MSRP is $150. They have it on a sale at the Tops website for $120 right now, but the normal MSRP is going to be $150, and to kind of give you a little perspective, the Bob is $180 MSRP. So when you kind of do the math, you're going to look at probably a street price right around the $80 mark, 80 to 90 bucks, and I think that's a very good value for this Overlander 2. It puts it right very securely right around like the SE3 and a lot of the other not only SE products but also really good 1095 products that have 3.5-inch cutting edges that are made either in the US or in other non-Asian countries, 1095. And that's a great price. There's no issue with that at all. 5 out of 5 on the value rating for the Overlander 2. And now I just want to show you one other thing, because a lot of people were kind of asking me in the initial teaser, why is there such a big guard, and it seems like the handle's so far away from the edge, and looks can be deceiving, because I wanted to show it to you, one, up against the Tops Bob, just so you can kind of see an overall size. There's definitely a difference. The Bob is definitely going to be a heavier, bigger, bulkier knife for sure. The Overlander 2 is definitely a smaller, more compact, EDC-able size in its overall dimensions. But when you actually look at these two guards, they're the exact same length from where your hand would be right here on the knuckle to the cutting edge on the Bob is the exact same length from where your hand is to the cutting edge on the Overlander. It's just deceiving because they didn't etch out this guard like they did on the Bob. You can see here they ground it in, kind of bringing it to a point, and that makes it look smaller. That's not the case with the Overlander. They did not do that. They just left it kind of square and boxy, but it's actually the exact same size. So the distance from your finger to the edge is exactly the same on the Bob or the Overlander. So don't let the images or even on camera here kind of fool you. So that's really all I wanted to show you guys. They're definitely different knives in a lot of ways, and there's some definitely pros and cons for both. They both are performing exactly the same now because I have done the modified edge on both of these. They both cut exactly the same, except the Bob is going to have the inch longer handle and the inch longer blade, basically. Those are the two things you're going to see as a big difference there between the two when it comes to comparing the Overlander 2 with the Tops Bob. All right, guys, let me give you the ergonomic rating here on this knife. I love the handle on this knife. I wasn't sure at first, but I'm totally giving it a 5 out of 5. Great handle construction. You can get that kind of brown red micarta that Tops uses a lot, like on their Wolf Packs and the Wolf Pup kit. Very nice. I like it a lot. And what you'll notice right away is that you're going to get these bronze or brass screws. And I know some people in the teaser video I did kind of complained about that. They didn't like that style. And I get that. It's not maybe necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing, material to be using there, these screws, but the knife necessarily isn't the most aesthetically pleasing knife. It's just kind of it's a utility blade. It's supposed to be used, and necessarily not the prettiest tool in the shed, but one of the most useful tools in the shed, I think, in this size range. And I see the usefulness of it, particularly when you're out there in the wilderness. And I have a Leatherman tool with me all the time. So if these were ever to loosen up on me, I could easily use my Leatherman tool and use my screwdriver to tighten them back down. That's not the case with either the Allen heads or this, Torx screws that are often on a lot of other knife handles. That's not the case. You can't do that. So I understand that it may not be aesthetically pleasing, but I understand the usefulness of it. And I'm actually really glad that these come with that screwdriver. I've never had a Tops knife handle loosen up on me. But if it ever did shift slightly or, have some sort of problem, I can just bust out my Leatherman and fix it on the spot instead of waiting to go back home to try and fix that. Now, the handle is contoured, and this is one of the big differences between the Overlander 2 and the Overlander is that what they've done is kind of put these hills in between, valleys in between where the screws go. So it's really slim. They've slimmed down the handle a lot. You can see those red liners in there too, make it pop really nice. Rounded off the angles, and just as comfortable. Really, really comfortable in my hand. I wear large size gloves. That guard locks me in right there, nice and secure. The jimping isn't overly aggressive too. I was a little worried about that, not the case. You do get this little set of jimping back here, but you can't feel it in your hand at all. I've tried to hold it in multiple grips, use this for, I think like 2 months, guys, I think is how long I've been using this knife on multiple, times, giving it to my wife, Ashley, had her use it, and this has not created any hot spots. I think it's just kind of goofy, aesthetically pleasing. There's no need for this jimping back here, in my opinion. Even in a reverse grip, you can't really put your thumb on there and it doesn't grab your hand in any, special way. So I think that jimping there is kind of a joke. But other than that, just a very stout, set up well handle. I really like it a lot. Huge lanyard hole back here. The pommel extends past the handles, and the handle, yeah, there's just something about it that just feels very, very comfy in my hand. Really, really comfortable. And that's why I'm giving it that solid 5 out of 5 rating on the ergonomic scale when it does come to this blade. And I think it'll also fit well with a lot of people with smaller hands too. I wear size large and it fits great. My wife has small hands. She's a small lady, and she loves it. This is one of her favorite knives from Tops in the ergonomics, area. She just really likes to get a good grip on it. And for children, this would be a great first knife for children because the handle isn't really big and bulky and beefy and uncomfortable. It's very nice, slim profile, and big enough regardless if you're a grown adult or a smaller child or smaller woman. You're going to be able to get a really good grip, I believe, on this knife. Great handle setup. All right, guys, we're getting pretty close to wrapping up this video here on this Overlander, and I got to give you my likability scale. And you're probably sitting there going, okay, well, if you're about to do that, why is there a mini Recon 1 from Cold Steel sitting here in front of us? I was really trying to think about, okay, how can I articulate to you guys my feeling towards this Overlander? Because I really like it, even though it's not really a showstopper. In some ways, in my opinion, it's a little kind of brutish and a little ugly compared to maybe some other knives out there on the market, just like I feel about my Cold Steel Mini Recon. It's a little brutish, it's a little ugly, it's not necessarily the most, refined knife in my EDC collection. And like how we've been talking about how this Overlander 2 is kind of designed to be that pioneer, homesteader EDC knife, that you can carry on you all the time. It's small, it's compact, but it's very tough, very durable. That got that 3/16 of an inch thick spine with that saber grind, and it's very comfortable in the hand, just like my Recon's very comfortable. And with that triad locking system, this Recon has seen some hard abuse that I would never put some of my other folders through. And I really believe the same is true with this Overlander. I've been able to put my Overlander 2 through a lot of abuse that I would never put, say, like an SE3 through, or in this case, say like a Shango XL. My Shango XL is going to be a lot slimmer, sexier knife. It's 1/8 of an inch thick. It's got a full flat grind. I just like it a lot better for a lot of my finer detailed tasks. It's going to do food prep better. So you're like, well, why do you like the Overlander so much? Because I love my mini Recon, because it can outperform on the hard use tasks my Delica 4. And I really to help you here, I feel like my Shango XL is like my Delica 4. It's slim, it's sexy, it's going to cut and slice a lot of the finer detailed stuff better, this Delica 4, than my Recon ever could. My Recon's got a pretty thick blade. It doesn't have necessarily the best edge retention, and it's tough, but it's really brutish, and it's not my best slicer in the bunch. My Delica 4 is my best slicing EDC blade I own, just like my Shango XL is one of the best slicers and best feather stick makers and food prep makers I have. And that's really how I view this, is there are things that I would put my Recon 1 through that I would never put my Delica 4, because I'd be afraid I'd break it, snap it, break the tip, damage the locking system or something like that. And the same is true about this Overlander. This Overlander can take so much more abuse than this Shango XL ever could. It's got the thicker spine, it's got the saber grind, and so I really view these two knives, these two fixed blades, just like I view these two folders. And I would never ever in a million years get rid of my Recon from Cold Steel. It's just such a reliable, faithful tool that I know I can just hard abuse and I won't ever worry about breaking the knife. And the same thing I feel is true about this Overlander in this size range of being 4 inches with an actual 3.5 inch cutting edge. I mean, this Overlander 2 can handle stuff an SE3 or some of those other, really thin blades that are out there on the market could never handle. It's just so much tougher and more durable, and in a lot of ways a lot more ergonomic, particularly the SE3. I'm kind of picking on the SE3 today. This is a way more ergonomic knife than the SE3, and it's going to handle a lot more abuse than an SE3 could, just like this Recon could handle a lot more abuse than this Delica ever would. So guys, that's why I'm going to give this Overlander 2 a very solid 4 out of 5 on my likability scale. It is one tough mother, and when I'm sitting there and I know I got maybe some hard tasks I got to do and some hard use for my fixed blade, and I'm sitting there because I love my Shango XL because it's just an amazing performer, and I'm like, oh man, this Shango XL might perform a little bit better for sure with its thinner blade and full flat grind, but this Overlander is going to be able to handle a lot more abuse and take a lot more abuse than the Shango XL ever could, guys. So that's why I think if you're looking for that really hard use kind of EDC size fixed blade, I think that the Overlander 2 is going to be right up your alley and a very good fit, not only ergonomically, but in toughness and durability. Well guys, you've seen the Overlander 2 in action. We've talked about it ins and outs. So I really hope that this field testing and review has really kind of helped you out on whether or not the Overlander might be right up your alley, or if there are other knives out there on the market that may be a better purchase. Obviously that's your choice. My goal is obviously just to show you the pros and cons and give you my overall feeling so that you guys can always make a wise purchasing decision. So thank you so much for checking out the channel. Thank you for watching this particular episode. As always, check us out on all the relevant social media, Facebook, Twitter, and please always remember to comment, subscribe, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Overlander 2 and whether or not it's going to fit in your system or not. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.